Okay, good morning, everybody. I'll call the Madison Metropolitan Sewerage District Commission meeting for August 28th. Order. In the room, we have Commissioners Lytle, Meyer, Freeze, Bookland, and Havel, and then virtually we have Commissioners Lonkala, Paltz, and Murphy. Commissioner Clark is absent. So anybody that's tuning in, the situation is Eric has to leave. Eric Dundee has to leave at 9:30. Ezra has to leave about 10. So we want to try to wrap this up. All the presenters and things like that, keep that in mind. Welcome to all of our guests. Cassie, virtual meeting guidance.
Good morning, Commissioners, members of the public, and staff. To help us have a smooth meeting, I'm going to review just a few decorum rules for all. While the Commission and staff are in person, we are still offering a Zoom option so members of the public can attend. If you are attending virtually and would like to speak, you can do so during appearances by the public. As a reminder, this meeting is being recorded and streamed live on YouTube, and the public chat has been disabled, but you can still send a message to the host if need be. Finally, Commissioners, please use your microphones while speaking and make sure your voice is directed towards the mic. When you're not speaking, please ensure your mic is off so others can utilize the mics. And as a reminder, only 3 of the table mics can be live at a time. Also, please state your name before speaking for those who may be joining us via Zoom. Those are the decorum rules of the District Commission. Thank you for following them, and let's have a great meeting.
Okay, thank you. Any announcements? No announcements. Any appearances by the public? Room? Don't see any hands up. Okay, we have the consent calendar, the meeting minutes of the 14th, operating fund cash statement, annexation through expedited boundary for Cottage Grove, the old little golf course, sanitary approval for Old Sauk Road, review of bids and award of contract Headworks Building Grit piping replacement, and review of proposal award of contract effluent cabinet analyzer system. Do we have any questions on any of the items? Okay, do we have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
I'll make that motion, Commissioner Meyer.
Second?
I'll second, Commissioner Bookland.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Meyer, seconded by Commissioner Bookland to approve the consent calendar. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And any opposed? None, motion carries. Thank you. That will take us to topics where we have the review of proposals and award of contract for the Enterprise Resource Planning Implementation Project. Favorite.
Thank you. It's my favorite, too. Good morning. I'm Dana Reed, Director of Enterprise Services. I'm joined today by Kate Offerdahl-Joyce. She's virtual there, and she's our partner at Berrydon, who was with us throughout this evaluation and contract process. So she's here for questions today as well. Yeah, I think it just was, let's see if it works. So I'm here today to present the review of proposals and award of contracts for the ERP implementation project. Today's presentation will go over 2025 progress and the overall selection process and how we got to these 2 preferred vendors, as well as next steps. And then Kate and I are here for questions at the end. I always bring this slide with me when I talk to you about the ERP project and provide some context of the overall phases. We are in the selection phase, which is phase 3, and this phase is almost complete with commission action and signing of contracts. We would move on to implementation. So in 2025, as you'll recall, in December of 2024, we released the RFP to the vendor community for ERP implementation services and for software subscription services. 8 vendors responded to that in January, and that's right around what we expected, so we were very happy with that response. We formed an evaluation team here at the district, which was a cross-section of experts in different functional areas to evaluate the proposals. And we started evaluating in February and March. From there, we moved on to vendor demonstrations. And in May, we identified our preferred vendor. And since May, we've been in contract negotiations. I'm going to go over each of these rounds of scoring in more detail here in a minute. I want to give a huge thanks to the RFP evaluation team. They have been at this for a year or more now, and they really spent a lot of time and really gave this project their due diligence, and we're all very happy to be here to bring you our recommendation. So as I mentioned, the selection process had 4 rounds, and we'll dive into each of these. So the first round was the RFP responses. I mentioned we had 8, and we scored out of 100 possible points. The vendors were required to submit a number of things that we scored. They submitted a narrative. Those were quite lengthy in many cases. They submitted a requirements matrix. We had 2,521 requirements, and for each of those, they needed to indicate if they could meet the requirement out of the box, or if they would need a third party, if the system would need to be customized, or if they just couldn't meet it. So we had all of that information to go through, as well as we had their cost proposals. And at this point in the evaluation, where we're scoring the responses, we left the cost proposals sealed. So we did not look at cost until the very end. And from this, you can see our top 3 were Strata, and in parentheses is the name of the system or software, which is Workday. Number 2 was Apps Associates with Oracle, and number 3 was Tyler with Tyler ERP. And we felt as an evaluation team and working with Barry Dunn to look at this, that this was a good cutoff point to move to demos. So this was our short list. So those 3 were invited to demos. Those were held the first 2 weeks in April, and there was a lot of rigor around these demos. I'll touch on a few things. Each vendor got 20 hours. They had to demonstrate 17 areas that were in their proposal. So for instance, payroll would be an area, purchasing would be an area. And then they also discussed their approach with us while they were here. They were given a script to follow, so that ensured scoring was consistent, and they were not allowed to get off that script. We had a Barry Dunn facilitator here to help us keep that on track. And they were not allowed to discuss cost or anything that would be something on their future product roadmap, because we couldn't score that. So it was very structured. And so all 3 came the first 2 weeks in April, and the evaluation team scored. We also invited subject matter experts from different functional areas across the district to sit in on those, and they provided feedback through a feedback form to the evaluation team. From there, we moved to references. The vendors submitted 6 references as part of their proposal, and they were to include 2 from Wisconsin. We did reference checks in a written format, so we came up with 20-some questions over 3 main topic areas and sent that to the references, and then got their feedback. The topic areas were: what challenges did you have with your project? Did you have any issues with the systems implementer or the software company during your implementation, and how was that resolved? And finally, just overall, how many operational efficiencies have they realized since implementing? And from that, the evaluation team scored, and you can see in this round, Apps Associates had the highest score, followed by Strata and Tyler. At this point, we unsealed the cost proposals, and cost was done a little bit differently. There was nothing for the team to score. The lowest cost proposer received 100% of the points, which was 40, and then the other two received a proportion, depending on what their cost was. And you can see the second and third were close, but Strata was second. So that got us to our total scores, which had Strata and Workday as the highest score, with Tyler number 2 and Apps Associates number 3. And this is out of 200 points possible. So I want to talk about some Strata and Workday differentiators. I'd mentioned the requirements matrix. They met all 25-21 requirements out of the box. They have a very innovative technical approach, and it really resonated with the evaluation team and the subject matter experts when the IT team came in and looked at that. It really resonated with everyone. They do things a little bit differently. It's so the end user, it's very invisible to the end user where you are in the system. The other products, you have to know what module you need to go to and where you need to go in that module to do a task or get a report or look at data. So we really liked that. It's a very intuitive interface also, and they often win awards and case studies with customers. I will always say that they lead an employee experience and self-service for employees. They recommended and will have 100% dedicated project manager. That's really key for us. Tyler, for instance, would not have a dedicated project manager, and I've worked on projects with consultants and not having a dedicated project manager. I see some smiles spells trouble. They also have change management services as part of their proposal and cost. Robust reporting. Reporting is something we really spent time on because reporting is something that you need to make custom reports. It can be costly in the implementation process. And between Workday and Strata, who also has a report library that they've built for Workday, there are thousands of reports. And so our goal, of course, would be to use everything out of the box and not customize. And that really enables us to reach that goal. Strata has also built an automated testing tool for Workday. One thing about Strata is they're the leading Workday implementer, and where they see a need, they develop tools for their customer community. And this automated testing tool can reduce our testing time, this is their number, but by 50 to 80%. Now, that is huge for us because we're not very mature in testing software here. And testing is going to be key for us to roll this out and stabilize and not have errors and business functions going down. So that was another differentiator. And then I skipped Workday success plans. I was going to do that one last. That's in the middle of the list there. This is really important to us. What this is we bought extra service and extra training from Workday. And this includes on-demand learning that we will have a library for staff throughout our engagement with Workday, as well as something that they call Ask an Expert. So we can connect with a Workday expert one-on-one to go over issues we're having. Maybe we have a plan of how we're going to turn on a new feature and we want their feedback, et cetera. So we have access to experts. It also includes various toolkits, guidance that you can use, as well as access to a community of other Workday subscribers that are part of this. And so you can go out there and say, hey, do you know how I can do this in Workday? Or we think we need a custom report, and somebody may say, well, I already built that one, and here's a template. So this was really key, this add-on for us, make us successful. These are the SKUs that we're buying. Over the course of the next 2 years, you'll hear a lot of new lingo, and SKU is one of them, but they're essentially modules or functions. And we are buying 8 under human resources and 9 under finance, purchasing, and inventory, well in that bucket. So here's the 10-year cost, the combination of capital funding and operating budget funding. So the one-time cost would come out of the capital fund, and that would be a total of $3.1 million. And then future operating budgets would need to cover years 3 through 10 of the Workday subscription costs. So the 10-year total is $6 million. Next steps. If we sign the contract relatively soon, we would be doing some readiness activities at the district in October. And then once we sign the contract, we also can send all of our key resources that will be working on the project to Workday training, so they get up to speed on how Workday works. November would be the date for kicking off implementation, and there will be a district-wide implementation kickoff here with all staff, and then continue implementation into second quarter of 2027 is the timeline. So with that, we'll take questions and then ask that the commission awards the contract for ERP to Strata and Workday.
Okay, thank you. Anybody have any questions? Oh, Greg?
Commissioner Freeze, just a quick question with regard to the 10-year operating costs. So within that are all the inevitable upgrades and everything is included in that, right? There's no surprises 5 years out. Oh, we're going to version 10. You got to pay an extra or something.
Yeah, no, that's a great question, and I meant to mention upgrades, so thank you. Workday is a little bit different with upgrades. All customers are on the same version, the most up-to-date version. They release a weekly minor type of upgrade, and then twice a year they have a larger upgrade. And how it works is that you'll be put on the most current version, but the new features will be turned off by default until you're ready to use them. So yes, it's included, and we won't run into the situation we are now with Oracle WAM, where we're on an old version. We'll always be on the most up-to-date version.
And just to follow up to that from experience, so I like that they don't turn on the features for you automatically unless you're ready. That's a really good way to run that. And I assume since they're doing it this way, everything is backward compatible. So if you had a report in that reporting module, that report stays. You don't have to redo it, I guess, is what I'm getting at, right? They make it, you know, having just done this with Windows, and they didn't do that, right? So.
Yes, but that being said, I mean, we're still responsible for ensuring that things are working and do our diligence there, but yes. Yeah.
Badri?
Yeah, thank you. This is Commissioner Lankela here. A quick question. This is a cloud-based solution, right? So Workday, is the government cloud included in this package?
Kate, do you want to answer? Because I see you nodding.
The government cloud, is that what you asked?
That is correct.
FedRAMP?
FedRAMP, yes.
It is not the FedRAMP Workday cloud.
Is that a requirement by the sewage district legal?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
Commissioner Lytle?
Thank you. Just following up, you know, we're probably signing up for around $350,000 per year in ongoing subscription costs. Working with Barry Dunn, and you may have presented this already, we looked at kind of the business case behind that and both efficiencies and improvements in transparency to kind of say, you know, compared to what we're spending, for a much outdated, ERP currently, and what we're going to get out of this. You know, does that justify, signing on for these long-term subscription costs?
Yeah, well, we don't currently have an ERP, so it's hard to compare it to that. There are a couple systems that we will be turning off and saving money. Oracle WAM would be one, and there's a couple of smaller ones like our payroll processing, so there is some savings there. We are looking at measuring our success, our operational efficiencies through this. I know there was a question at the last commission meeting, I think Commissioner Bookland asked, and so I took that note back, and our teams have started measuring how long it takes them to do different administrative tasks in our current system or lack of systems, so then we can measure the operational efficiencies gained when we have Workday. Trying to think if there's anything else, Kate, that you want to mention about from doing this with other clients.
Yeah, you're going to see a significant amount of efficiency gained, and overall employee user adoption appreciation for the user experience of this system. There's going to be a great deal of thank yous with it. And part of the readiness planning that you'll do with Strata is identifying metrics so that you can see where you're at today and where you'll be in a year and a half, 2 years from now during implementation and post go live, so that you'll be able to measure those and then report out on those efficiencies gained.
I think you want to add something? Yeah.
This is Bill Walker, Deputy Executive Director. Business case question is really important. Efficiency is one sort of pillar of a business case. There are two others which Dana has already alluded to. One is our current system and approach poses a pretty high risk of failure to us. We're relying on some very outdated, unsupported software. Removing that risk, it's hard to quantify that in terms of, a monetary benefit, but failure of our financial system is bad. Let's put it that way. The other pillar here is capability. This is something the Finance Committee has spent a lot of time listening to me complain about. It's very difficult for us to provide efficient and adequate reporting on finances and other things to the Commission and to ourselves. Adding that functionality is, again, something that's difficult to quantify in monetary terms, but being able to accurately report and, efficiently manage your information is also a critical part of that business case.
Okay, Commissioner Lankala, you have another question?
Yes, please. So I just wanted to understand if there is any checkpoints and exit strategies if something goes haywire, and are in future too, if we is the data owned by the district, if we have to ever change the ERP systems, I'm assuming those are all covered. Could you explain a little bit there?
Yes, I'll do that. The data is owned by the district. So if we decided not to renew at year 11, or if we decided to terminate our contract for reasons before that, we own the data. We have an exit period, off-ramp period, where we can get the data, and we own it. So whether we put it in a new system or what we do with it is up to us. We do have, I don't know how much I want to get into the contract negotiations since we haven't signed the contract yet, but there are clauses in there for exit. I'm looking at Vanessa. We definitely have negotiated that with them. Also, because we're a public entity, there's a clause in there for termination for non-appropriation of funds. That is also in there in case something changed and funds were not approved in the budget. We can terminate as well. But yes, we own the data. We do not own the quote-unquote software because it's a subscription.
Excellent. Thank you.
Commissioner Murphy?
Yes, I just had a question about the resolution and the in the report. The requested action in the report says that we're requested to approve one-time costs not to exceed 3.1 million. The resolution, the now therefore be it resolved clause indicates that we're authorizing the 3.1 million plus the first and second year subscription services. I was just trying to understand the difference and where the funds are budgeted for subscription services in years 1 and 2, and then in where they're going to be budgeted in the out years. Is that part of the capital project costs initially, and then ongoing, will it be part of the operating budget, or how's that working?
Yes, so the one-time costs are 3.1 million. That includes both the Strata services cost and years 1 and 2 of the Workday subscription. So that's where the 3.1 million comes in, which is what we're asking the commission to approve. We are not asking for approval today of years 3 through 10 of the Workday subscription costs. Adding those in is where we would get to the total of 6 million for the 10-year cost, which would be a combination of operating and capital.
Okay, so the way I understood it, I couldn't bring it up here, is that it won't let me get to the website. It has a packet for, but the way I understand it, Brad, you read that it's 3.1 million and years 1 and 2, which really then you're saying that the 3.1 includes years 1 and 2, so it really should read 3.1 million, which includes years 1 and 2 subscription.
This is Bill Walker again. The way the resolution is written, I think we made an error here. It has the 3 point whatever it is million, and then a second half of the sentence has 869,000 for years 1 and 2. That 869 should be in.
Is part of the 3.1.
Okay, so we need to edit this resolution here on the fly to strike that 869 and just have the 3.1 million.
That answers my question. Thank you.
Good catch, Brad. So it should basically read the 3.1 million, which includes years 1 and 2 subscription services. Okay. Anybody else have any questions? Beth?
I'm just curious what implementation would look like in the plan. Would you phase out WHAM and then phase this in, or what does that look like? And as far as time involved for staff in the implementation?
Yeah, so it's a phased approach. Phase 1 will be the financials and everything in that, purchasing, budget, et cetera. And then phase 2 is all the HR modules. WHAM will still be in place when this goes live for a period because it will still do some of our asset management functions. So the next project would be to replace WHAM with a new enterprise asset management software. Yeah, and as far as staff time, the second part of your question, all the proposers proposed how much staff time it would take from the district and how much time it would take from them. Strata and App Associates were pretty consistent in their estimates, and we're anticipating 10 to 12,000 staff hours throughout implementation. Implementation goes until June of 2027, and we are already working on backfill strategies for that. Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else? I got a question. You had the $6,052,000 cost. That's just for the software and subscription services, so, or does that include Barry Dunn's time?
That does not include Barry Dunn.
Okay, so what's the addition of Barry Dunn?
So Barry Dunn, so far we have spent around $150,000 on Barry Dunn, and we've encumbered $800,000 for their services in the implementation phase.
Okay.
So you'd be adding about
Another $700,000.
Well, no, we've already spent $150,000, and we're going to spend another $800,000.
Oh,
so you'd be adding closer to $1 million.
So that's cost. Okay. So, anybody else have any questions? If not, do we have a motion to approve the resolution for the Enterprise Resource Planning Implementation Project that would be amended to read 3.1 million, which includes years 1 and 2 subscription services?
Yeah, I would make that motion. The first part of the sentence in the number one in the resolved clause says that the commission awards a contract to Strata for ERP professional services, et cetera, et cetera. Should the first part of the sentence now read, the commission awards a contract to Strata and work for ERP professional services and Workday for subscription services at a cost not to exceed 3.1 million? Just to maybe Bill or Eric, how would you like to edit that first resolved clause to make it right?
Brad, Bill's talking with Dana Reed about it right now.
Okay.
So I would suggest that we say the commission awards a contract to Strata for ERP professional services and to Workday for subscription services at a cost not to exceed 3.1. Period.
I would be happy to make that motion. Thank you.
Okay, nice catch again, Brad. Do you have that, Cassie? Amend the resolution? Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Murphy to approve as amended with the language that was written by read by Dana Reed, second by Commissioner Meyer.
Yep, thank you.
Any further questions or comments? If not, all those in favor say aye.
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 And any opposed? None, motion carries. Okay. Thank you. So Executive Director update, Eric. Eric Rear is going to give an update on the overflow issue that we had on the north end of the plant.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Eric Rear, Maintenance and Reliability Manager for the district, and I'm here to report on the Pumping Station 2 force main failure. The location of the failure is north of the plant within district property in the wetland. It's in the black box shown on the screen. As far as initial notice and actions, on Friday, August 22nd at 12:30 p.m., a cyclist on the Capitol Springs path called the district to report bubbling water in the wetland next to the path. Our collection system services team and myself immediately responded to investigate. Once our field observations confirmed the presence of wastewater, our emergency response actions began. We began our incident command protocol and mobilized staff and assigned responsibilities within that incident command. And we worked to investigate which force main was leaking. There are two pipes. Go back. So there are two force mains actually that go through this area. Pump Station 8, which is the more northerly force main, and Pump Station 2, which is the one the break occurred on. Our locating staff went out there and marked the Pump Station 8 force main and the Pump Station 2 force main to allow us to determine which pipe it actually was. So Pump Station 2, that force main was identified as the failure location. We began by shutting down that pump station and rerouting flow throughout the collection system. There's two other pump stations that go into that force main. We also rerouted those and began bypass pumping. At that point, we mobilized a contractor for an immediate response. Our staff began our notification process with the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources, Dane County Public Health, the county itself, and our commission. So we first started with a temporary repair, knowing we wanted to get this pipeline back in service. So we had the district staff and our contractor worked through Friday night into Saturday morning, August 23rd. We worked till about 10 a.m. And the leak was stopped with temporary measures. If you look at the pictures, the upper left is a repair clamp. We use these commonly in these type of instances. We have these in stock in our inventory. The bottom is they took a wrap over that repair clamp that has a hydrophilic water stop in it. Once water hits that material, it expands and increases the seal on the pipeline. Then we encase it in concrete. That's the bottom photo to hold everything together. All right. As far as containment measures, monitoring, and sampling, we worked to contain the flow on the Nine Springs Creek. We dammed that up and began pumping into our pump station 3 so we can treat that water that was impacted by the leak itself. We initiated an initial sampling protocol. We began sampling for E. coli and fecal coli in the marsh itself. Later, we determined we were just going to sample for E. coli. Through discussions with Dane County Public Health and the DNR, our sampling protocol expanded. We moved upstream of the leak, or the break, to obtain some baseline data in the Nine Springs Creek. We also did some downstream sampling in the Yahara River south of the Beltline area known as Gilligan's Island, and where the Yahara River enters Lake Wabisa through Mud Lake. So, as you can see from the slide, all our sampling points are located on there. So right now we're sampling at, I believe, 7 locations. Follow-up work since we put the temporary repair in place. So we've continued monitoring of our system flows. We've done some outreach with some private citizens that have had some lateral issues due to the flow rerouting. We interacted with the media, and we did a review of our pump station records. Based on that record review and flow balancing, we could tell that the break most likely occurred on August 13th, and we estimated that 6 million gallons of wastewater was released over the 10-day period from the 13th till the 23rd when the repair was completed. Permanent repair planning. We are currently coordinating with the contractor, and our procurement team is working on procuring the necessary materials for a permanent repair. We're also developing plans for flow rerouting during the repair to minimize impacts to staff and residents. We're ensuring the proper backup pumping provisions are in place during that repair, and we'll continue to work with Dane County Parks on a temporary closing of the Capital Cities path during the repair. Next steps, like I said, we're continuing to procure the materials to fix or to perform their permanent fix in that location. Right now, we are expecting this to happen within the next month. Materials should be here within a week or 2. We're going to continue to work with public health and the DNR on sampling in the creek and other areas, and we'll perform an internal after-action review as we typically do with these incidents. With that, are there any questions? Sure, Wilkin.
So I know that I remember, I think there was a big rainfall event around mid-August when I think this might have first happened. But I'm just curious as to why it took 10 days before we discovered, the leak.
With that rain event and those higher flows when this happened, it's hard to discern from our flow data what is actually flow from the rainfall or inflow and infiltration versus our real flows. So we didn't really notice it in the data, and then it, being in the marsh, and we're not out in that marsh typically, we're not observing these pipes, so it took a citizen actually driving by on their bike to notice it. We do plan on trying to put in to our system, based on our flow data, some indicators which may alert us to this in the future if it happens again.
Eric, quick, so I know you haven't done your after-action report and all that kind of stuff, but is there indication of what was the failure? Was it just a crack in the pipe that the pipe just failed under pressure? Is that what we think occurred?
So there was a crack on the bottom of the pipe near a joint. I don't think we have any indication of why this pipe failed. It's only 25 years old, and these typically have a design life over 50 years, so this was unexpected. It could be a bad piece of pipe. It could be corrosive soils in that marsh that kind of ate away at the pipe. We're not sure at this point.
And so I think you guys have you're working on a force main inspection. I'm curious if, approach, right? So force mains, for everybody else, force mains are exceptionally difficult to figure out condition, right? As we have found out here and City of Madison has found as well. Do you think it would have, an inspection, what you're working on implementing would have caught this?
I think that's really hard to say. The inspection tools, I guess I'm not familiar with the inspection tools as some people here are. Eric, you want to take that?
Yeah, Eric Dundee, Executive Director. So with some of the inspection tools, one of the things Jen Hurlbus has been working on with those force main inspections is what they can actually provide. All companies have different technology. One of them that I've been thinking about with this incident is when they measure pipe thickness. If there would been the ability to see if this was an eroded piece of pipe or where there was a defect. If it wasn't, then we wouldn't have picked it up. But they talk about with different pipes, ovality and then pipe thickness, things like that. So we can't say that we would be able to find that now, but it has raised my interest. And when we do the permanent repair, we are talking about needing some help with possibly TVing the line, upstream and downstream of where we're going to replace, just to see what we see. Understanding it's a 36-inch pipe, the camera's going to pick up only so much, but, now's the time to look at what else we can see, and then in the future, continue to ask for that support for the force main inspection program.
Yeah, thank you. And that's really the reason I brought this up, is because I'm not sure, even if once Jen implements this full inspection thing, I'm not convinced you would have caught this, right? I think this, at least from what I know, and we have similar issues with our force mains. So, okay, thank you.
I don't want to go too far down this rabbit hole, but you point out that, kind of look back at pumping records to kind of back calculate when this event likely occurred. Sounds to me like something that has a strong case for using AI data analysis. And I'm sure there are vendors out there trying to sell us that stuff, but even, you could use this as something working with a student or something to train a model on, seeing the flow variation, this pumping station, or the pumping and flow variation of this one versus others in the system during the rain event. I'm sure smart people are already thinking about that, but, seems like every conversation turns to AI nowadays, but this seems like, if that could be running in the background on an ongoing basis to, hopefully not trigger 200 alerts every day and not, one alert every 2 years, but, some level to help us, identify these and say, where should we go out and send a crew to inspect?
I agree. That's a good idea. We have been looking at AI here. It's a process to implement that type of technology. So there are many vendors that come to us with AI solutions, but I agree that's a good point.
Okay, Bill, you got
Bill Walker, I wanted to add two things. Yes, smart people are looking on that, and some of them work here. This is one of the general issue of using data and sensors to manage and monitor our systems is one of the justifications for one of the positions in our budget proposal. That position is not specifically about the collection system, but that theme is already present in stuff that we're looking ahead to. The other comment I want to make is sort of a contextual one on force main inspection. This is way outside my area of expertise, but one of the things I hear from everyone is the entire industry is trying to figure out how to do force main inspection. There is not a clear, workable approach. Eric alluded to this. We're part of that train trying to figure out how to solve this very, very difficult problem, and perhaps flow monitoring is one of the components of that.
Yeah, I'm just going to add on to what Bill said. So to make everybody stop a second and think this pipe was installed in 2000. So our normal methods of asset management, of thinking about age, condition, things like that, our first indicator is looking at age. You know, we talk about design lives of 50 to 100 years. This wouldn't have came up. You know, what could have came up is the criticality level, but if you look at our system, the criticality of every one of our force mains is very important. So to tack on to what Bill said, this is something that's emerging and evolving for all of us in the industry. So
taking a different tack here, I was just going to say, Eric, I'm talking to Eric earlier in the week. I know you busted your butt all weekend, late hours, overnight, working tons. A bunch of people on staff did the same. So I just wanted to do this sort of thanks for, you know, going above and beyond to deal with an emergency that came up. I also wanted to note, it sounds like our incident response and kind of emergency protocols worked, right? Which is pretty cool. Like, that's why we have those, and don't want to use them, but then sometimes you have to. So just kind of noting that. I wanted to ask, is public health doing anything as they look at what we're finding and monitoring downstream? Is there anything about recreational use warnings or stuff that's at that level, or is it not rising that level at this point?
From what we found from our samples downstream, the normals are, the levels are normal, what we sampled for.
Thanks a lot, Eric. Good presentation, and thanks for all the hard work. Thank you.
Yep. Anybody else? Okay, second editors, thank you to you and your team for their response and repair, and then the repairs yet to come, permanent fix. Okay. Ezra, any executive director performance update?
Yeah, a couple things. Eric's going to tell us a little bit about some developments from his work with a coach, and then I'll say a bit after that about where we're at on our process with a consultant hiring.
thank you. Eric Dundee, Executive Director again. So one thing that we did with the Executive Director Performance Subcommittee was my executive coach and I talked through what the coaching goals are for the rest of this year. So just wanted to bring that up for awareness for all for the commission. We'll be talking about it as staff as we go too. But one of the biggest things that came from the survey that we had is mostly about alignment of district vision and performance. So we've talked about this as a commission with performance indicators. We are discussing that and talking about it now as staff. That is one of the biggest things to do. So as a commission, I will be trying to figure out a way to engage the commission into visioning and our performance indicators. The performance indicators are already planned to come, but my executive coach is urging that to be a larger discussion, you know, making sure that there's alignment for the commission and staff together. We've heard those comments before, so this is not a surprise, but it's something we're going to start working on and working towards. So if you see that come up in the next few months, don't be surprised by it. We'll get there. Other things is related to the employee engagement responses about roles and expectations as we go through the new organizational structure implementation, making sure to spend our time to be transparent and open about what is the expectations within job descriptions, roles, and responsibilities. Start that at the top level with myself and the director positions, and then cascade those down through managers, supervisors, and staff. So that's the other thing. The other part is the recognition of silos. Once again, another thing that we've heard for consistency, somehow creating not just part of our organizational alignment, the reporting structure, but also cross-functional teams. That's kind of the buzzword I'm using around the plant is cross-functional teams, but having an example like asset management be understood that it's not going to be under one division's responsibility. There's finance responsibility, there's O&M responsibility, and there's planning and engineering. So just wanted to bring those three up for awareness for the commission, and then I'll turn it back over to Commissioner Meyer.
Thanks, Eric. Amy Deming on staff here has helped me to understand an important difference. We have to think about goals and on the performance side, and we'll be doing some of that work with the consultant I'm going to talk about in just a minute, but we did a little bit of that around performance review this year even, but we want to distinguish the sort of coaching development side goals from performance goals that we're watching on our side. There's some interesting ways to keep sort of tabs on both sides of that, and we'll keep having reports from Nikki, the coach, and Eric on this coaching side at the committee level. But yeah, an interesting distinction that I might not have understood before, but it's kind of becoming clear to me now. Sounds like Nikki's being really helpful, value add for Eric here through this process. The other piece we've been talking about, so you've heard us mention we're working to bring on a consultant to help us with our annual performance review process for the ED. And so Bill, Amy, and I were the ranking panel. We did a robust process, but when I saw what Dana reported on today, it was nowhere near the level of robustness of that RFP review process. That was impressive. But nevertheless, we did what we needed to do for this process and considered four proposals. I think I've got that right. We had one that dropped out, so our numbers changed along the way. But we have a recommendation that we brought forward to the subcommittee earlier in the week, and going to move forward on that one. The staff are working on some of the contract stuff, so I think we'll hear a little bit more detail about it at a future meeting here as the whole commission. But in process now, and we should get somebody started this fall to work with us on that process for the next year or so. They're going to help us look at our process and what makes sense, recommend something, and then they're going to help us carry it out the first time, which will be mid-year next year. And then we have an optional piece in there where we can decide down the road whether we want to have them be involved in year 2 and year 3 or not. And so that's the way the whole contract is kind of set up. But yeah, we felt good about the proposal we got overall, and then about the one that we ended up selecting as our winner. So there'll be some more detail about that when contract details are worked out and whatnot. But it doesn't rise to the level of significant or high enough dollars that we have to approve it at the commission. So I don't think it'll be on the agenda, but I'll talk about it at one of these subcommittee updates in the future. Thank you.
Yeah, the Finance Subcommittee met this past Monday. I was late. I appreciate everybody's tolerance. The couple things that came out of that. One, with financial resolutions that come before us, we have been working on a kind of a table to describe where the money is coming from, what's maybe being changed as a result of this. Eric did one example, and I think someone is going to do another trial on a different one that's coming forward to see how quickly the data can be, how much of a work effort this is for staff, really, is what this is amounting to, and also how useful it is for us, right? The other question that came up and had a lot of discussion was what kind of reporting the commission wants with regard to finances. So this is part of one of Eric's asks or goals as part of his thing, his annual report or annual review. And it's a little bit of a chicken and an egg thing here, because we're asking Eric to give us financial data, but we actually don't really know for sure what we want yet, right? So there was a lot of discussion about what numbers we want to see and why we want to see. So is it just numbers to see a report and then that doesn't mean much to the commission, or are we looking for numbers that actually tell us something and then tell us something we want to know at our level, and then how much work it will be to get that in the intervening 2.5 years-ish before the ERP is available. Once the ERP is available, this data, all kinds of data is relatively easily available, but in the interim, right, creating this data is a little bit more challenging, and to create data just to create it is not in anyone's best interest. So we are working on that second part particularly, and then once we get to there, we have to then rewrite the policies for the commission, so to reflect what we think we actually want to see and do. So, thanks.
Thank you, Greg. That will move us to Matt Sibes, going to give the operation report.
Good morning, Matt Seib, Assistant Operations Manager. I'm filling in for Alan. He always seems to find himself on vacation when things are a little more interesting. So I'm the scapegoat today. Things in July were great. We had a really good month. The plant performed really well. We're right where we want to be. Really nothing to mention other than, we were managing to maintain treatment while facilitating some of the larger projects going on at the plant, like digester cleaning and the flow splitter project. So really nothing to tell you here. It was, we'll put this one in the win column. We do have a few other things to mention, some TFOs. Those are treatment facility overflows, as the DNR would refer to them, but calling them a treatment plant overflow here because they're at the plant. And these are completely separate from what we talked about earlier, which was a sanitary sewer overflow. And these are completely unrelated events, even though they happened in a similar time frame. So a couple things have happened in August. Two of them are related to contractor activity at the flow splitter. Those are events number 1 and 3 on here. And then we also had a system upset with our DAF, our dissolved air flotation system, on the east side of the plant. And so that's kind of showing you where things were. Here's kind of some pictures. So with the bypass pumping air release, we're temporarily bypass pumping for construction. There is an air vent pipe on the top of that large pipe that came off. We're not fairly sure why. I assume a vibration perhaps. And flow was intermittently coming out of that opening. It wasn't continuously coming out. And we estimate that about 100 gallons of water made it to a storm drain in that event. Most of it was just in the grass. And so that picture right there looks a little bit concerning, but it wasn't happening like that all the time. It was kind of burping like that. The second event, our dissolved air flotation system, we had a vent fail to close that caused the tank to fill up, and a little bit of water came out of an air vent onto the ground. We estimate about 10 gallons made it onto the pavement. So we were able to take care of that one right away, but that was an unexpected valve failure. And then the last one, again with bypass pumping, the pumps that are being used sometimes weep a little water out of some of the pipe fittings on the pumps. There's spill containment on there. Contractor was performing regular maintenance and inadvertently knocked over the spill containment wall, and about 40 gallons made it onto the grass. They sucked it up and put it back where they got it from, and they shored up that spill containment so that doesn't happen again. So that was a bit of a mistake on their part. Those are 3 additional events we've had to report to the DNR this month that are specific to operations within the plant. With that, any questions?
Don't see any. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I got one question. Do we ever, like if some of these incidences with the contractor became rather significant, do we have any penalty or something, provisions?
I'm going to look at Lisa, and I'm going to speak for her and say she does have a very large stick in her office, and she knows how to wave it. So there are provisions in her contracts to, get the contractor to address these issues.
That will take us to regulatory and legal. Vanessa?
Good morning, Commissioners. Vanessa Wishart, legal counsel for the district. So over the last month, we spent the majority of our time for legal services at Stafford working on ERP contracting, which you heard about earlier today. And as Dana mentioned, those contracts haven't been executed, but we are in the very final stages of negotiation. So that was a big push over the summer that will be completed very shortly. We've also been continuing to assist the district on the condemnation proceedings, the litigation regarding those condemnation challenges, and acquisition of the property Moreland Road, which is also nearing completion. And then we've been assisting the district also on some work with its renewal for its WPDS permit, which is continuing to move along. And then continued work, as you know, on the Badger Mill Creek litigation. Happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Okay, anybody have any questions? I've got one. The condemnation proceedings with the two cases, are they asking for a jury trial, or are they just,
I'm not sure if it would be, I assume it would be a jury trial, but I can ask Laura Callan, who's taking the lead on that, what the
okay. I
proceedings
was
would be.
just curious. I was assuming jury trial too.
Yeah, we're still in fairly early stages on all, there's technically 4 actions, 2 per property owner.
Okay.
And those are in the discovery phases, so we're in fairly early phases on those. But I can ask Laura whether it's going to be, the plan is for a jury trial or a judge, just by judge.
Okay, anybody else? Okay, that takes us to future meeting schedules in the packet. I didn't hear anything that came up today to add to future meeting schedule. Most of the next meetings, as everybody's aware, will be dealing with the budget. So now we do have a closed session. So we're going to be going into closed session. The commission may convene in a closed session, confer with legal counsel per section 19.851G, who is rendering oral and written advice concerning strategy with respect to Circuit Court case number 2024-CV-3109 and Court of Appeals case number 2025-AP-1725, City of Verona versus Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources. Do we have a motion to go into closed session?
This is Commissioner Freeze. I'll make that motion.
Motion by Commissioner Freeze.
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Meyer. Cassie, do a roll call, please.
Commissioner Bookland? Commissioner Freeze?
Aye.
Commissioner Hubble?
Aye.
Commissioner Lonkella?
Aye.
Commissioner Lytle?
Aye, and just make the caveat now that I will not participate in the closed session due to my role with the City of Verona.
Commissioner Meyer?
Aye.
Commissioner Murphy?
Aye.
Commissioner Pulse?
Aye.
Okay, so we will have move ourselves to the other room, and then you guys online will have that breakout room or whatever you have to attend.
Figured out what we're doing.
Okay, we're back.
Yeah, we're waiting for Cassie to get back in the room. Thanks.
Oh, yeah, okay.
You take the, okay, so we're reconvening an open session. We had a motion by Commissioner Freeze, second by Commissioner Bookland to do that. And we did a roll call vote, and all commissioners, those online and those in the room voted aye. So it was a unanimous vote on the roll call. Oh, yeah, except for Commissioner Clark, who was, I mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, was absent. Okay. The commission discussed the ongoing litigation, and that's all we're going to say at this point. So, we've reconvened. Any future agenda topics. This topic with others will be on the next agenda as well. And any other business? Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn, Commissioner Freeze.
Motion by Commissioner Freeze.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Meyer to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. See you guys.
Aye.